We are here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bring news just for you. It's Friday, January 24th here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin, and you're watching News Generation. Today, we're joined by Lee Won-bin.
Good morning.
Good morning, and Brooke Prince.
Hello, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Now, both are here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. So the Seollal, or Korean Lunar New Year holiday, starts tomorrow. That is if you include the weekend. And this year we have a 6-day holiday, including the weekend, once again, making it one of the longest Seollal holidays in recent years. So with so much time off, many people are very excited to hit the roads for family visits or to travel. So starting off, I would like to ask our panelists, what are your plans for this long holiday?
Well, first of all, visiting my families, obviously. Both of my families are actually Buddhist, which means that we must prepare the 차례상, which is like a ceremonial meal that we prepare for our ancestors on the day of the Lunar New Year. And because all the family gathers up, it is also a really good day for families to kind of catch up with each other.
Reunite.
Yes, reunite. And it's considered as a general culture in Korea on Seollal for people to talk with each other. And one of the hottest topics is how good the youngest family members, aka the children, are doing. And luckily and unluckily, I am the oldest son, 장남, and this means that it gives me a lot of responsibility, and they have a lot of expectations for me. And which puts a lot of weight on my shoulder, and everybody asks about my job, my plan, my love life, and to most MZ generations.
A lot of questions.
Yes, this is a lot of questions, and most of them find it a little bit uncomfortable. But however, for me, it is not, because I'm on TV at News Generation Arirang, which makes my family members very proud.
We're very proud of you too.
Yeah, well, we're proud of you.
Thank you.
You've joined the News Gen family, so good for you and good for Won-bin's family. Now, Brooke, before we went on air, we talked about how this is your 8th Seollal holiday that you're celebrating here in Korea.
That is right. And even though I am quite a bit older than Won-bin here, I still get the same questions whenever it's a family holiday. Just recently, I went to America for Thanksgiving, and I was definitely asked about all of those things. But as a foreigner living here in Korea, I really love learning about the traditions of Lunar New Year. But obviously, it's not something that I celebrate the same way. For me, it is some much-deserved time off, and I plan to spend it with some friends. I have a very special friend who is visiting she's visiting from the US right now, and she was actually my double cast in the musical Il Tenore.
Really?
So she is here to celebrate with the cast because we recently won some awards at the Korea Musical Awards, which was amazing. And several of my castmates are currently in other productions, so we are going on a musical tour during the next week and a half or so. So I plan to spend my Seollal holiday kind of doing a tour of the Korean arts and theater scene, which is one of my favorite things about Korean culture and society. I'm really looking forward to it.
What an exciting way to spend the long holiday.
Yes.
And please share your experience.
I certainly will. I'll give all my reviews.
So Won-bin is going to spend some family time during the Seollal holiday, and Brooke is going on a musical watching tour.
Yes.
Right. And for those who are traveling during this holiday domestically, most choose to go by car, and naturally this makes travel time during this period much longer than usual. And one thing that makes road trips enjoyable for many here in Korea is the highway rest stops, which we kind of mentioned last year on NewsGen. They've become a must-visit destination for a lot of drivers and those who are hitting the road. So could you first tell us a bit more about these places, Won-bin?
Absolutely, I can. And now to begin with, I think we should clear out some background information on why a car is the most preferred vehicle of traveling during Seoul. And most seniors live outside of the capital city, Seoul, and it is obviously very difficult to find plane or train tickets during this time. And that is if they have a train station or an airport nearby. And on top of that, the entire family members are traveling together, which means the cost of moving by train and planes will be multiplied as well. Therefore, most people use cars. And now that we have that cleared, I can safely assume that everybody will understand that there will be a massive traffic jam during the Seollal holiday.
Right.
And when you need to be in a car for a long time, you can't not talk about 휴게소, which is our main topic of the day. And since the long drive is exhausting not only for the drivers, but the passengers as well, 휴게소 is considered as like a safe haven to them where they're on the road. And you can stop by there and get a quick break, use the washroom, get some good foods and snacks, which is actually a big part of the identity of 휴게소. Overall, these facilities are also very well built and maintained, which is why people love to stop by them.
Right. They have definitely become favorite stops to visit when people travel during the holidays or whenever they are taking long drives to other regions around the country. Then, Brooke, I would like to ask you, are there similar areas in the United States, and how do you think they compare to the ones here in Korea?
Yes, there are. I did a lot of driving when I was in the United States, including some coast-to-coast road trips, which is a very long trip.
Right.
And so I stopped at many of these places, and they kind of come in all shapes and sizes in the U.S. Some have just a gas station. Some have more amenities, like many fast food places that you can stop by and get something to eat. But they do kind of have a reputation for being potentially unsafe places, particularly in rural areas that are not so populated. They can feel a little spooky because they're kind of deserted. And I think the reason why that is because America is very large.
Right.
And so you have to have a lot of rest stops in order to service that huge of a population, which means that some of them are going to be a bit smaller. They're basically just the bare bones, the basics. They're all about practicality. Whereas in Korea, these rest stops are essentially a tourist attraction in and of themselves. They have these amazing, architectural aesthetics. They can be very futuristic, almost like a sci-fi film, which draws drivers in. They have a bunch of novel amenities, like they have mini golf, which was amazing to me. Mini golf, pet-friendly areas, activities for children, and also they have media art facilities as well. There's one called the Starlight Garden, or Uju. It's at the Tokpyeong Eco Service area in Incheon, and it's like a date spot, which you would never think of a rest stop as a date spot, but it's this beautiful illuminated garden. If you look at pictures, it's just incredible. So I think Korea is really trying to move away from the idea of service areas being just a place to briefly stop by and actually being an entertainment destination in their own right.
I mean, I think you put it in the perfect way. They're no longer just service areas where you can use the bathroom or buy food, but they've sort of become cultural landmarks over the years. Then so far we focused and we've given you a brief historical background and context of these highway rest stops in Korea. Then I would like to ask you, I think this is quite like an obvious question, but did you have a chance to visit any highway rest stops area in Korea? And if you did, what was the best part about your experience?
Okay, so first of all, I obviously have visited. And it's important to note that, like I said, the 휴게소s in Korea are very, very well built. It's like they're almost tailored.
Right.
Especially the bathroom. Now, first of all, it's obviously free and it's huge. A lot of people come and go. So they have minimum of 20 slots and if not more, with electric heated bidets, main displays at the entrance to show which slots are available.
You're seeing it right now on the screen.
The jet-powered drying machines and big mirrors to check yourself before leaving, and the list goes on and on and on. And once you are relieved from the amazing tailored bathroom, there are often great natural sceneries welcoming you. They have outdoor benches or sometimes even like photo spots where you can take a picture and make a memory at the 휴게소. And nowadays you can even see like trendy cultures such as pop-up stores, which is these promotional stores that appear for only about a week or so, and automatic serving robots as well, which shows how popular the 휴게소s are in Korea.
Wow, so from high quality bathrooms to automatic serving robots, these highway rest stops are offering quite a lot to customers and users. But Brooke, I think we must talk about the food that we can buy at these areas, right? Please tell us more.
Of course. As a foodie, that is my favorite part of these rest stops.
For me too as well.
They're like, they are a foodie's paradise. They have a very unique culinary experience that features local specialties. So for example, if you go to Icheon Rest area, then you can have dishes that include Icheon rice, which is known for being very rich and chewy. Or if you go to Hwaengsong, the Hwaengsong Rest area features meals that include include their famous hwangsong beef. It's known for being marbled, rich, and tender, and they will include it in dishes like bulgogi, beef skewers, or stews. I'm making myself hungry talking about this. But beyond just regional specialties, you can also get many of the Korean staples, the classics, like my personal favorite, hodok, which is a crispy pancake that has a sweet filling. You can also get tteokbokki, sodok, anything with tok I just love, right? Rice cakes, that's what it's all about. You can also get mandu or dumplings, and you should not forget about ramyeon. Korean ramyeon is delicious, and a piping hot bowl of ramyeon in the middle of your drive, specifically during winter, which is the season we're in right now. It's just an amazing way to stop and refill yourself before you go on the rest of your journey. So I hope that you do stop by and get to try out some of those dishes.
Definitely. So right now, we focused on the highway rest stop areas here in Korea. We're going to expand our discussion and learn about the rest stop cultures in other parts of the world. We asked our viewers beforehand to share what these areas are like in their countries. And here's what 3 of them had to say. Our first comment for this Friday is by Mr. Fan09. In Indonesia, rest stops feature restaurants, convenience stores, gas stations, and mosques for praying. The unique thing is there are also car workshops in case something's wrong with our car engine or tire. Second comment for the day is Studio Visionary Anna. In Arizona, highway rest stops aren't much. There is a bathroom for men and a bathroom for women. There is usually a changing table for mothers to change their children's diapers. These rest stops are mostly kept clean. Little VT55 says there are 2 types of highway rest stops in France, ones that have patrol, shops, sometimes restaurants and restrooms, and ones that have very basic toilets and picnic areas. Usually the ones with patrol have slightly better restrooms. All right, so coming up next, we'll speak live with a young person from the United States who has first-hand experience with Korea's highway rest stops. Stay tuned.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang.News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
Welcome back. Joining us this Friday morning is Jotsia Jean, a Gen Z from the United States. Welcome to the show, Jotsia.
I am happy to be here.
Happy to have you. So, Jotsia, we would first like to ask you, which highway rest stop in Korea did you visit and what brought you there?
Yeah, so the first rest stop I ever visited was the Yongin service area, and that was on a bus ride to Gwangju. I was going to visit one of my friends, and I realized that the Gosok buses were the cheapest option, so I decided to try it out. I was a little nervous at first, since I've never really been on some kind of like road trip with a bunch of strangers in a bus before in the United States, but I figured it would be a good cultural experience in Korea, and I ended up really liking it because the seats were a lot more comfortable than I expected. It was just overall really convenient, and the rest stops were probably my favorite part.
I see. Now, Jotsia, what impressed you the most about the Korean highway rest stops that you visited, and why?
Yeah, so I've been to a lot of 휴게소s, and I think a lot of them are pretty similar, and they've all impressed me in the same way, because they're pretty different from American ones. They have the same basic amenities, but there's a lot more variety there. So the thing that shocked me the most was probably the outdoor concession stands that they have. So like you mentioned earlier, there's street food that they sell, and it's amazing because they really hit when you've been sitting in the car for 3 hours and you just really want some Korean street food like Korean hot dog or sotok. But it was just really surprising that so much of it was outdoors because that's not really a thing in American rest stops. And it was really interesting to me because one time I visited a rest stop in a rainstorm, and we were just sitting there able to see all of the storm happening, only protected by a plastic tent that surrounded the building. And the other thing that really surprised me was the fact that so much of it is automated. I guess the fact that it's outside helps with people who are like me, who are riding express buses, since the buses only stop for 15 minutes at a time. So when you go to these stalls, the food is already pre-made, and then they have like kiosks, which are the automated part. So it's a really fast process because you order at the kiosk and then you just go find your stall and quickly grab the food whenever you show them the receipt. The only thing is, these kiosks can be a little bit confusing if you're not used to it, since I multiple times have ordered from the kiosk and accidentally ordered from a booth that was on the other side of the rest stop, and I worried I wouldn't be able to get back to my bus in time since I was running around lost. But other than that, it's a really convenient process.
Well, I'm glad you had
surprised to
such
find
a... Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm glad I found the bus.
Yeah, I'm glad you had a great
So for me-
experience in Korea. I wanted to ask you, as a fellow American, I already talked about this a bit earlier, but they can differ in America, right, depending on where you're from. So do you have similar areas in your area where you're from? And can you expand upon what you mentioned earlier about how they differ from American restaurants or rest stops?
Yeah, definitely. So I think another thing that shocked me, because I usually come on the buses, I never really noticed the indoor parts with the full restaurants in Korea. So just like in America, the Korean rest stops also have an indoor part where they have actual meals. But compared to America, I think there's more actual food. So as an American going there, I felt like I was getting a true taste of Korea by ordering from these places. They even had like rice cake shops and some of the more traditional Korean foods. So although I didn't really have time to eat those since I only had a 15-minute break, it was really fascinating to see that, since in the States, I think it's mainly just fast food or convenience stores. And then another fascinating thing that was really shocking to me was the bathrooms. So the rest stops in America are very average Western style bathrooms with just toilets. And then in Korea, all the rest stops have Western style toilets, squat toilets. And then some of the stalls even have this fancy button that'll make a flushing sound effect, which I've never seen before coming to Korea. So I think coming to these rest stops and seeing all these new things have been like a bit of a like cultural experience for me, since I've never seen rest stops be so much of like a big thing.
It's wonderful that you had a great experience visiting these highway rest stops here in Korea. Jotsia, anything you'd like to add before we say goodbye to you?
Just that I'm really excited to go on more road trips around Korea and to keep seeing what else gets added to these rest stops, since I know that it is definitely a tourist attraction. I've seen even photo zones and those outdoor areas that you mentioned earlier, so I'd like to see that in real life.
All right, Jotsia,
Thank you for
so
having me.
much. Oh, thank you so much for your time today, and hope you have a lovely weekend.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, so as mentioned earlier, the long Seollal holiday is just around the corner. So before we wrap up, do you have anything you'd like to say, like a message or words for our viewers who are celebrating the Seollal holiday?
Yeah, absolutely. So before anything, please drive carefully and drive safely. You're going to be on the road for a minimum of hours, so driving carefully and avoiding accident is the biggest priority. And that's the number one thing that I would like to assure everyone. And for the younger people watching our news gen, don't take the Seollal questions too seriously. It's just think that it's like the adults' method of showing love and care.
Showing that
And-
they really care for you, right?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you only see them like a few times a year. So, just go out there, meet them, and have fun and enjoy your time. And there's one thing that I want to add, because we had a lot of discussions about the food at the Hugyeso. A menu that wasn't mentioned that I'd like to give an honorable mention is 통감자, which is like steamed whole potatoes.
Right. They're
It's
the best.
Yeah, it's like a staple for all Koreans at various age ranges. So if you do go to Hugyeso, make sure to try the 통감자 as well.
Right, so the roasted potatoes and also what Brooke mentioned, the hottdog pancakes and also so떡, which is like a skewer that's consisted of sausage and rice cakes as well. And what do you want to say to our viewers, Brooke?
Well, it's funny, we talked a little bit about the questions that family members asked, and I read that a company is putting out a nagging t-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like a menu, and it has prices that if you ask this question, this is what you have to pay. So
Right.
for example,
Oh,
if you
wow.
ask for about marriage or love life, then you have to pay, 30,000 won or something like that. So I thought that was quite a funny way to sort of handle that nagging that you get during family vacations. But like Wonbin said, the most important thing is it's how how they show love. And so you want to just have fun when you're visiting your family. And of course, if you are traveling, please travel safely. I hope you have a nice home-cooked, warm, delicious meal for your Lunar New Year and that you start this year off with a lot of positivity. So Happy New Year, everyone.
Right, Happy New Year. And on behalf of all of us here at News Generation, we wish you a warm, happy, and safe holiday with all your loved ones. And that's all from us today, but Newsden will be back next Friday, January 31st at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. We're taking 4 days off next week as it's once again the 설날 holiday. Special thanks to Iwonbit.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. And Brooke Prince.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for watching and hope you have a great weekend and 설날 holiday. We are
News Generation.